Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the RXP Podcast, where 4 working professionals come together to talk about everything that they enjoy, including books, movies, TV shows, etc. Games. I wanted to save the best for last, so that's why I named that.
Thought you weren't even gonna mention
I'm your
it.
host. Yeah, no. I was like, no. I needed to give it its own moment, hold space for it. You know what I'm saying? So my name's Tiffany, and I'm your host today, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Yasser.
Oh my God, I get to go first again. Hello, my friends.
Matt.
Pretty soon, you're always going to go first. Like it started off as like a ironic thing to do, and now we always do it.
No, I like to mix it up a little bit. And then, of course, Alex.
Here we are on the eve of our Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders. Get hyped, get ready.
Gosh,
get those
Alex.
Nervous.
clicking fingers ready.
So nervous.
It can't be an episode where I'm hosting and you tell us exactly the date that we're recording. Am I right? That's just, if our listeners know how much I love that ish.
That's right.
Oh,
she lives for
And
that.
Then they
here's
know how long
Tiffany's
the
address,
production
everybody.
takes to get
Pull
it
out a
posted.
pin.
Yeah, exactly. So honestly, we're doing one of my favorite kinds of episodes this evening. We are talking about what we've been experiencing, the first quarter of 2025. Am I right, you guys? It's basically almost May. I mean, by the time
That's
this comes
crazy.
out, we'll probably be May.
You're dating us again, but
Yeah.
it is crazy how quickly this year is going.
That's true. I'm my own worst enemy, So it's crazy time. We are just gonna hop into it, and plus we haven't chit-chatted in a while about what we've been up to.
Yeah,
So
so true.
we're using this episode to catch up. So can I go? I'm gonna go first because
Do it.
Let's hear it.
I'm gonna go maybe off script a little bit in the sense of there was one thing I wanted to update the audience on for what I was really excited about earlier. But anyway, I'm gonna jump into first. Have you guys watched or heard of the Netflix show The Residence?
I've seen it. I've
no,
seen
I don't think-
a trailer. I never watched it
Okay.
though. Is that
Never
like a
watched
murder
it.
I've even heard of
mystery,
it, to be
or no?
honest.
Yes, everyone buckle up.
I'm
It's
ready.
one of Tiffany's favorite genres.
wow.
Murder mystery,
Oh.
TV show, Netflix, tight 8 episodes
Tight.
by the Shondaland production company, the one who made Grey's Anatomy, How to Get Away with Murder, Bridgerton,
Oh.
So her production company came out with a murder mystery. What I find most unique, listen, fans of Knives Out, Sherlock Holmes, Agatha Christie, I think you're in for a treat. The Residence is apparently, I don't actually know, I didn't fact find this if this is true or not, but in the show, The Residence is where the President of the United States lives within the White House.
Okay.
So the section of the White House where him and the first family reside is called The Residence.
Okay.
And so on an evening of a gala with the
course.
Australian embassy or what have you, there is a murder in the residence, and we must figure it out, and we can't let anyone leave. They keep on joking that Hugh Jackman is here. It's not Hugh Jackman, but they show a guy, the back of a guy who could be Hugh Jackman, and a B-list voice actor that sounds like Hugh Jackman. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
That little
hilarious.
joke about that. Yeah, I think it's really funny. The detective is a quirky lady that enjoys bird watching, and so there's a lot of bird anecdotes, she's on the case, and then she's like, did you know the red-breasted beak tapper only eats at night? And stuff like that, do you know what I mean? That little nuance and quirk there. Randall Park is in it as an FBI agent. He's the straight man who's why isn't it obvious that it was a suicide kind of thing?
Right, yeah.
So I think he's honestly been a little typecast, but I really liked him in this. The juxtaposition of Randall Park and the detective, who, by the way, did not realize she was in Orange is the New Black as a crazy lady in there.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember her name. I apologize, audience. But she was quite good. Oh yeah, and Giancarlo Esposito.
Mm-hmm.
He is the one that is murdered.
Oh, he's not the villain.
No, he's not
Talk
the
about
villain.
typecast. Good for him. He got out of it. He
Yes,
didn't have to die,
yeah.
but he got out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then
yes.
he just doesn't get to be there. 'Cause he's
Yeah.
alive.
He doesn't live to be
Yeah.
a non-villain. He just dies
You know,
immediately. That's
one
too
step at a
bad.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is like the head usher of the
Okay.
White House, and it's sort of like the idea that he's like head of staff in the sense of like, you know, the cook or the chef and the maid service and like all that stuff. He's in charge of like organizing those people
Okay.
that serve the president. And like the job is very non-political because, you know, the staff basically stay to work throughout different various presidencies and et cetera, et cetera. I thought it was very riveting, and I love a good whodunit.
So you watched
And
the
I
whole
recommend
season.
everyone. I did in a week, within 4 days.
Dang.
Yeah.
So that's like
That's
more
pretty
than an
impressive.
episode per day. Definitely.
Yeah, it
more
was like
than
2
an
episodes per day.
Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's impressive.
I think it was a good time.
Is that the best show that you've seen all year?
That's tough because I haven't watched that many shows,
Okay.
to be honest.
Have
This
you
is the best show
watched-
you've watched in 2 years.
Ooh.
Ooh, no.
Okay.
Oh.
What would top it?
What
Just
would it-
so we
what would
know,
it be
like,
in
for
that?
reference? Yeah.
Only murders in the building?
Well, that's more comedy. That's more.
That's fine. It doesn't have
There's
to be
really
the
good
same,
things about that
genre.
show. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's-
I love
there's
Only
mystery
Murders
in
though.
that.
I love Only Murders in the Building. I guess I can't. You know what? Now that I put it on the spot, I don't even remember what I watched last year. All I
fair.
know is that Last of Us season 2 is out, or like coming out, or is, and like we're gonna watch it eventually. I just feel like that will probably be quite high.
Yeah. Has anyone started watching that? I watched.
Not yet.
I watched the first
Wait, which
episode.
one? Last of Us? Sorry.
Last of Us?
I zoned
Yeah.
out for a
Yes.
second. I have watched
Yeah.
the first 2 episodes, so I'm caught up technically. Yeah.
2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you vibing?
From the rating of 1 or 2 thumbs, or 1 or 2 down thumbs. What do you feel
Me?
about it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say one thumb. One thumb. As a like
That's good.
game enjoyer.
Yeah.
That I think what they did with basically my intent, I'll be completely honest with you, is to watch the show up until a very critical moment in the beginning of the game. And I'll say I'll keep it at that just to avoid spoilers for anyone who hasn't played the game. But once that happens, I'll probably teeter off a bit. But I wanted to see how the show handled it because it was very controversial in the game. So I wanted to see how it compares in the TV show format.
Yeah. Can we do a peer review? Is everybody interested in watching this? Because after watching one episode, honestly, I'm like, wow, these are different characters in my mind. I'd love to see if that
Oh.
continues.
I think I agree with that too, to be honest. That'd be a good
Like-
discussion, I feel.
it's the characters that you fall in love with and like enjoy kind of their own struggles are different with the TV show, and like what they're struggling with is way different. It's like, like they share their name and that's basically it. I would love to hear, like, I wonder if that keeps it up, but maybe we can do a peer review once everybody gets caught up. But one episode in, it's still great. Like HBO does a great job at making prestige TV. So
That's true.
Awesome.
my favorite TV show of this year, and I think we potentially are doing a peer review, or at least somebody's
yeah.
doing a peer review here. It was my recommendation, so I'll definitely be on that peer review. Is Severance season 2? Sorry, I got severed a little bit in that moment. I was like, wait,
Oh
who
It
was
was your
my
Innie's
God.
idea. You forgot.
Yeah, it was my Annie's idea. It was excellent. Have you guys watched it? I know Yasser has.
No, it's still on the to-do list.
Okay, it's still on the to-do list, and we've got plenty of time.
Same.
Don't rush through it. Get through it. Enjoy each episode equally, and get back to us. But it is so good. It's definitely the water cooler moments of this year. Like, I feel like I had more people. I was like evangelizing for Severance so much more since the first season. So I've gotten a lot of people at work to watch it. Like I had a lot of people watch season 1 back in the day. And so everybody else came back in and they spread the news after season 1. And so I had multiple people I was talking to about Severance at work, which is really fun. It was like, wow, this is really nice. Like, this is why I like weekly releases, because it was like,
that's true.
Hey, did you pick up on this? Did you pick up on this? Like, hey, did you like this episode? Like a bunch of people, there was a couple like episodes that weren't necessarily following the same narrative. And some of them hit super well for me and not well with other people, and vice versa. Like it was a fun season 2. Won't talk more about it, but that's definitely the highlight of my year.
I think that's a great call out for sure. I think I kind of feel similarly. I didn't necessarily recommend it to people the first time around, but I know a lot more people who have dove into it since the first season ended. And so this second season, I agree. Like I had more people to talk to about it, like in person. And it was nice to like, it is kind of, it reminds me of when I first started watching Lost in a lot of ways, where you have this week, this week's episode, and then you get to kind of digest it on your own, and you get to kind of talk through it with friends. And I think that's a lot of fun, especially for like a mysterious show like Severance is. I think it works really well. So definitely on board for that peer review once we all have watched it, or at least Alex, because it was his recommendation. Or Matt's recommendation for Alex.
I can't wait, Alex, because you haven't seen season 1 yet.
Yeah,
either,
you used
right?
to watch
Yeah,
both, right?
so it's gonna have to double time both seasons.
Honestly,
Yeah,
I think you might be better off because like it's been so long for me since I watched season 1 that I almost forgot some of the like minute details from the first season that I think would be helpful to like have for context in the second one, because there's just so many things going on in that show, I feel.
We started the second season like a week late because we were watching season 1 again.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And we were watching some of these episodes in season 1, and we were like, "Huh, I have no recollection of this at all." Like,
there's a lot of random stuff
like
that happens in season 1, so I don't even
random
that's not surprising.
creatures. I'll say,
yeah.
the non-spoilery that just appear, and you're like, "Wow, I forgot how big of a part of the show this is." It's great. I can't wait for you to watch it, Alex.
Are you saying like creatures, like fantasy creatures?
No.
Like...
I'm just being cagey. There's like a specific like type of animal. Yeah, and it's like a normal animal.
Yeah.
And it like becomes a really big part of the show, and you're like, huh, yeah, I forgot about that.
It's very much like polar bears and Lost, if you ever have watched that. But yeah, just very random.
That's a really good point. Yeah, very random.
What were you saying, Tiffany?
Oh, I was just I binge watched Severance season 1 in 2 days.
Oh wow!
And so because of that, I've noticed when I binge things that they don't really get deposited.
Yeah.
They don't get deposited in the long-term memory bank for me. It's like the first week I'm like, oh yeah, I like remember everything about it, and then after that it's like, well, did I even watch it?
Yeah.
Who's to know?
Someone else might not think so.
Your innie knows.
Yeah, my innie, my very deep innie. Alex, what have you been up to lately?
I feel like I have to go with the watching thing since everyone else mentioned something they watched. So I watched. I recently got a Crunchyroll subscription.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So because of that, right, the world of anime has reopened into my life. And so I was like, okay, what has been some popular things I've like heard of in the anime sphere, right, that I should get to watching. And in particular, I've heard of this one. It's based on a Korean manhwa known as Solo Leveling. I'm not sure if this has come across your guys' anime influence.
I know it more as like a meme or like a saying versus like the actual show. I have no recollection or understanding of what the show actually is.
Yeah, there are a few memes that have derived from scenes from the show, but it is your typical like, you know, power fantasy like isekai type of thing, right? Where it's like, oh, you know, it's not necessarily an isekai, but essentially it's like the merging of a fantasy world with like the real world, and there are people born with special powers, and those people are tasked with basically combating the like evils that come from the other world, right? So it's your typical kind of protector defender type thing, and you know the titular or the main character essentially, you know, ends up becoming one of the most powerful like types of these warriors to exist. And so I think from a very, I guess, stereotypical perspective, it's not really a shonen type anime, but it's like this is made for guys, right? It's like made for people that love seeing like a guy just getting stronger, right? This is like Dragon Ball level, like it's just Goku getting stronger and stronger and stronger to beat the next like insanely difficult obstacle. And for me, it's crazy to hear like, right, this is something that's been praised, especially the manhwa, right, in terms of like the actual source material, but from the anime perspective, this is the most 5 out of 10 anime I've ever seen. Like this is the definition of mid. It is so surprisingly that I'm like, honestly, if you have nothing else to watch, it's fine. I think it does action, like the animation in the action scenes are pretty good, but otherwise you should avoid this anime. Like there's very little redeeming qualities about it. So I'm like,
Dang.
it's very rare that this, like I end up crossing something like this where I'm like, this is the most average like thing I've experienced. But I can extremely, you know, solidly say right now, you might have heard of it, and it is something that there's like, if you want to watch something dumb, right? It's like very mindless.
Mm-hmm.
Give it a shot. Otherwise, if you're looking for like a quote unquote good anime, like this is not it. Like this is very easily not it. So
I like how all of us are
spread
like,
the word out there.
hey, you know, this is the best movie, the best TV show I've seen in a year, best TV show I've seen in a couple years. Alex is like, hey, if you're looking for trash, I got you some trash.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not like, it is the things that become popular. I feel like it's the perspective of what groups of people are talking about it in the positive way, and then realizing, oh, it's like not meant for me, right? Like I feel like, not to say I'm aging out of anime, but that particular type of anime, I'm like, I don't really see it. Like it's not really scratching the itch anymore. So like for my taste and what I want to watch, you know, it's not necessarily something where I'm like, I would recommend to people, right? I feel like there's so much out there already. I'm like, not that I'm saying, you know, the old stuff is always better, but there's probably something of this particular, like if you want this type of power fantasy, there are other things to watch. You know, I haven't watched it myself, but I'm probably Dragon Ball Super is way better than this, and it fills the same niche, right? And that one also kind of right takes it back in terms of you don't need to know all of the decades of history of Dragon Ball to understand it, but it's probably way better than what solo leveling provides. So it's one of those ways of like helping me recontextualize, this is popular, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm gonna like it, because I feel like we're getting to that point where it's like, oh yeah, it's popular in these specific spheres of influence, right? But that doesn't necessarily cover the whole audience. So
I have a confession to make. I'm not sure if I've mentioned this before, but me and anime just don't get along. I've tried various animes, I feel, in the past like 5 years or so, and I can never do it. I feel like all the acting is always like super like exaggerated, and even like the animes that I watched growing up, I just like can't watch anymore. So usually it has to be a high recommendation for me to like try out an anime. And I've been told I need to retry Attack on Titan just because I only tried, I think, 1 episode, maybe 2. And I've been told like if there's one anime that I could enjoy, it's that. But other than that, like I don't know if I have an anime that I have on my list to try in the future right now.
I do want to recommend, what about something that's like anime, but it's connected to something I know you enjoy.
Okay.
Cyberpunk Edge Runners.
Oh, I have watched that. That was
Okay.
good, actually.
Yes.
I did enjoy that.
Yes.
Oh.
I guess that is an exception then. I did forget about that. That's a good point. I enjoyed Edge Runners probably because I liked that world already. And it was true to that world, and it didn't feel like it was out of place. So good call out. I did love Edge Runners. I hope they do more of them.
That definitely is. It's like one of those prime examples where I feel like there are a lot of non-anime properties, right, that could be by extension adapted into anime.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I know it's not anime, but I feel like Marvel What If kind of draws that line where I feel like the way they design those seasons and the way the storytelling is, like, obviously it's not like they're not continual stories, or maybe in some cases they are, but like that is their version of like making Marvel into an anime like IP or like spin-off. And I think that's kind of like where maybe it's better for you in terms of, generally speaking, anime is pretty much the same as it has been for the past 40, 50 years since it's been in existence, right? Kind of the stereotypical roles, whether it's like little children or the kind of like, the arrogant like kid that grows up to be like a powerful person. And then also the, as you point out, seemingly overacting or exaggerated personalities, right? But in some cases, I kind of look at it like plays, because I feel like plays also are very similar in that, like, obviously to help distinguish characters, they kind of take on the persona, and so you're like, oh yeah, that's that guy, like he's always gonna be this type of person in that scene. And I feel like anime is just that, but then it's obviously a lot longer because it runs for many seasons, so I can see where it does wear thin. And there are definitely, it's like, generally speaking, I wouldn't recommend anime to everybody, but there are particulars like Cyberpunk. Like, if I knew you liked a IP, there's probably something closely related I could recommend to say, oh yeah, this is like that enough.
Yeah. And just to clarify, I think anime is great, like, and it's great for other people. It's just like not for me, kind of like what Alex was saying with Solo Leveling. But I'm not trying to call out any of our anime lovers out there.
No, that's fair. Though I do have to say, Attack on Titan, I don't know, like, I thought that was fine.
She's calling it mid.
Oh no!
Attack on Titan, like,
honestly,
attack us now.
No, I don't. Maybe a 7. Maybe it's a 7. I did watch the first season of Attack on Titan, and it was so interesting enough that I ended up reading the manga up until, like, I basically started over, or no, wait, maybe I started when roughly where the anime stopped, and then I went forward all the way and caught up, and that's kind of where my momentum dies. If I have to wait for a chapter a week, there is a high chance I will drop off and just forget about it.
But it sounded like you got pretty invested, though.
Oh yeah,
all things considered.
Because Yasser, what are these titans? Where did they come from? Why are some smart and some dumb? Like, do you know what I mean?
And why are we attacking on them?
Yeah, why are they attacking us and then forcing us to attack on them?
Why are they naked?
Why are they naked? Exactly.
They don't make clothes that big.
Because
those are
all the dumb ones.
Yeah.
The smart ones are at home.
Yeah.
And they're all clothed.
No, the smart one. Well, yeah, one of them straight up is just muscle. Like, it's just no clothes, no skin. You don't need clothes if you don't have skin, Matt. Gosh.
True.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything about
I know
Attack on Titan.
Honestly, I only know what she's talking about because there is that exact skin in Dead by Daylight, because they did a collaboration. It's bizarre, but don't ask.
Oh, whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
You know what? That respect. These IPs need to hustle hard.
Yeah, they do.
And if they want to intersect with some of their fans in other places, I respect it. Okay, Yasser. So what's been going other than Severance season 2?
Yeah, that's the big one for me. I guess I don't have another TV show that I've been watching. I don't think.
Okay.
Unless I'm just like totally blanking right now. But I will say, I'll call it a movie because I think Matt already knows. But
is it your background?
Obviously, all of you guys know because I put it in the general chat the other day. But I really enjoyed watching Sinners last weekend. It was funny because I went in because I knew, like, early on when I watched the first teaser, I knew it was like, this looks good. I feel confident that I'm going to enjoy this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to know anything else. So anytime a trailer came up afterwards, like full trailers that gave away, in my opinion, a lot more because I watched them after I watched the movie.
Yeah.
I like avoided them. I like turned them off. I switched the channel. I muted them, walked away. So I got into this movie not knowing what to expect other than just like a few pieces of the plot. And I thought it was just such a good time. And it was one of the most enjoyable theater experiences I've had in a while, where it just seemed like everyone was engaged. And it was like one of those movies where when something crazy is about to happen, like people start like gasping or like freaking out and saying like random phrases. And to me, I enjoy that a lot, even if it might feel disruptive to others. I just like when audiences are engaged in a movie and are having fun with it. And to me, that's exactly what that movie was. And honestly, I enjoyed it so much. I don't say this very often, but I think I might watch it again this weekend in IMAX, just because I know it's filmed in IMAX, and I didn't get to watch it in that format the first time around. So I'm thinking about it, but definitely a big recommendation because I had a lot of fun watching it last weekend.
Okay.
I love that.
So what can you give us a taste of the genre and like the vibe?
Yeah. So I went in thinking it would be pretty like suspense / horror. Or suspense / gore, but it actually is very multi-genre. I don't want to give away too much, but I think if you watch some of the trailers, you'll get a good idea of what I mean by that. And it doesn't take itself too seriously, but at the same time, it makes some very dramatic scenes that make you like want to like pump your fist like, oh, hell yeah. It's really hard to explain, but it was just a lot of fun. And I recommend trying to go in with as little info as possible and try to go in with some friends that might have a liking to that kind of movie that I'm explaining, because I think it's a great movie to watch with a group for sure, whether it's in the movie theater or when it comes to digital when it releases there.
You know what's one thing that I found very interesting, and I don't see it in other like media platforms, is that a lot of times books are advertised like for fans of this author, or this is The Witcher meets Cinderella. Like literally books are advertised in this fashion. Movies and TV shows are not really like,
it's all based on what they've done before. Like the producer of this, the director of this.
Yeah.
Yes. It's always like, from the creator of Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Like it's never like for fans of The Office.
Yeah.
Like, so I was just curious where Sinners might.
Here's one that I can give you actually that I think I'm pretty sure I've seen in like maybe a trailer, or someone has made this comparison as far as its box office as well. It reminds me a lot of when I first watched Get Out in theaters. Have you guys seen that movie?
Yes.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess that doesn't help at all. But if you have seen that movie, it was a scary movie, but it also had a lot of laughs. But I do think the genre thing, like the whole mixing of genres, is very different in Sinners, but that's the closest relative that I could give you for this movie, the closest comp I can give you. But you should watch Get Out as well. No. Another one I highly recommend. That's a fun movie.
Okay. That one's like creepy.
Is it too spoopy?
I mean, like from what it looks too spoopy.
This
for me.
one is
and
not as spoopy in comparison, in my opinion.
Okay.
For someone who doesn't like shock value, such as yourself, Tiffany.
I mean, I did offer Alex. I was like, "Do you want to see it together in theaters?" Oh. Like when I saw you mention that. I don't recall what Alex's answer was. Actually, I don't know if he was like okay or like no.
We'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
Like I'm planning on watching this weekend's. We wanted to go last weekend. It just didn't work out. But everything I've heard about it, and I don't really know anything. Like I've not read anybody's review. I saw your review on Letterboxd. Didn't open it. I plan on opening it once I finish. But I did see that like this is the highest box office earning for a new what is it called?
A new IP.
Like a new original film since 2019. And that was from Jordan Peele's Us. So like that opened at 70 million and this one opened at 63.5 million. So like this is a good thing to see. Like, I love that like an original film is doing this well, because it was like Minecraft movie was kind of like Jack Black is going to save the movies, but it's fun that like an actual movie that people are like, this is great. Like, I've seen so many of my people I will follow on Letterboxd give this like a 5 or 4.5 or 4. Like, it's no one's really low on it, which is great. Great to see. I'm excited to watch it. So
that's definitely the other impressive part, is how highly reviewed it is. But I don't want to like overstate it as well. So I didn't want to like say what I reviewed it as, but at the same time, I think it's easy for a lot of different folks to enjoy it. I don't think anyone here would not enjoy it if you gave it a try. And I think you might be surprised how much you enjoy it too, Tiffany. So if you ever do end up watching it, let me know.
Do you think it's too scary? Because Maddie's a little bit concerned it might be a little spoopy. So she's still on the fence about whether she's joining.
I don't think it's scary. I think she should be able to watch it. I think Tiffany should be able to watch it. This is not like a Romulus in any way, in my opinion.
Is there like a level of scare to compare it to? Like, do you know if something like relatively like this as scary?
Well, like, is there a jump scare? If there's no jump scare, then like that's already a win for me.
There are jump scares, but you also kind of see them coming. And that's what that's what I mean with like the whole like the vibe of the audience is like everyone knows this is about to happen, but it happens, and then it's still kind of like a half jump scare.
No, Alex and I will literally be walking through a haunted house, and he'd be like, "There is someone there," and I'm like, "Got it," and then I still like freaked out. Like my neurons still fired. Okay, you guys.
Yeah. I'm not saying that you won't get scared, but it's like it's manageable, and it's not like the whole movie is like that. It's just there's some scenes that are like that.
Okay.
You'll be okay.
Okay,
I think
that's
Maddie
good
will
to
be
know.
okay.
That's good to know.
I recommend that she gives it a whirl.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it looks great. It might be one of the like highest movies on my list so far to watch that I haven't watched so far. Yeah, can't wait.
And I guess
so.
Oh, sorry. I wanted to quickly circle back on one of the movies that was anticipated for me that I didn't like as much, and it was Mickey 17. I won't go into like a lot of detail, but I actually did enjoy the movie. It's just it didn't meet the level of hype that I had going in because it was one of my most anticipated. So I just wanted to call that out real quick. Is that I liked it. I didn't love it, but
that's how it be
has anyone else
sometimes.
seen it yet? Mickey 17?
I thought Matt.
I did not.
Matt, did you see it?
I didn't.
Oh.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. Like this happened where it was only in theaters for like 2 weeks.
Oh,
and
really?
Then they pulled it early. Like it was really quick. And I saw like on the news, like, or not the news, but like on the internet, people talking about it. And it kind of like bummed me out because it was just like one of those things where it's like, Maddie was out of town. She wanted to watch it. So I was like, okay, I'll wait for you. And then by the time, like, just like life got in the way, it's like, okay, let's go tonight. Something happened. We go to look for when the showtime is that Friday, and it's gone. It's no longer there. I look like
crazy.
I look like a 30, 40 mile radius, gone everywhere. I'm like, what? What?
I wonder if there was like another big movie that came out at the same time, or like
I don't know. There might have been.
So weird.
I mean, I'm gonna be real with you guys. Like, ever since the pandemic, I don't trust that a movie's gonna be in a theater past like a week at this point.
Yeah,
like
some of them for sure.
Yeah, like I just get like I'm like I need to see it in a week, or I'm just gonna have to wait till it comes to digital because it's just scary because it just feels like they're more into making snap judgments like, oh wow, this is really not performing, let's just take it away, you know what I mean? Like it's very interesting because I'm like, how can a theater be so dynamic with that, or a production company be so dynamic when it's not like they have like backup movies like waiting in the wings?
I think they just
like,
put more showings of the movies that are performing, at least from my experience.
Right.
Sorry, what were you gonna say, Matt?
Yeah,
there's so many, like, to keep everything going and like productions happening, they have to make these deals ahead of time of like, this is coming to streaming services at this moment in time, and to allow for like video on demand has become such a huge market in the US, and like especially for like the like 20 something year olds will buy so many more movies on demand than any other age group in the US. And so it's like they want to make the video on demand window as large as possible before it goes to streaming. Because like Mickey 17, the reason I haven't watched it on demand is because it's coming to Max in May. And it's like,
yeah,
okay,
that
I
makes
can
sense.
wait. I can wait
Yeah.
for that. But right now
Oh,
it's
yeah.
$20 on Amazon. It's $20 on Apple.
Yeah.
And it's like number
That's
one or
silly.
number two since it's been on demand. Like people just keep buying it.
Yeah.
And so it's
Wow.
probably making more money than in the box office. But those
Interesting.
on-demand sales aren't actually listed anywhere. So when people see a dying box office, it's really, yes, it's the box office that's kind of faltering, but the money is there. It's going someplace. It's just maybe not directly back to theaters, but
Interesting.
it's on my list. I read the book and I'm curious. I didn't give the book a 5 out of 5. And I'm curious. I don't want to say anything because I don't want you to react in a way. But
Yeah,
I'm curious if my issues with the book are the issues in the movie. So
Interesting.
I'm really excited for it. I'm really like, this is the year of a character being played by the same actor and actress. Like Robert Pattinson does Mickey 17 and Mickey 18.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan and Sinners are
True.
like the two twins.
Yeah.
And then
I actually
Robert De
forgot
Niro.
that like is true. Yeah, in a lot of movies.
Robert De Niro plays two characters in Alto Nights, which supposedly was a really bad movie that happened this year. So it's all the rage right now.
Yeah, this is the new thing.
Wow.
My favorite movie that's come out in 2025 so far, actually my number 1 and number 2 movie, were directed by the same director, Steven Soderbergh. He directed Black Bag and Presence, and both of them are my number 1 and number 2 for 2025 releases.
Really?
Black Bag, fantastic film. Like, this is a quick and breezy 90, actually both of these are like 90-minute movies. It's a spy thriller. It is Cate Blanchett, Michael Fassbender. It is so fun. It is like, if you like spy thrillers, this is easy breezy. Don't look for a huge, overwhelming storyline. It's not there. But man, it is a great time. It's a breath of fresh air. Highly, highly, highly recommend it, because it's definitely my favorite of 2025. I don't know if has anyone seen any of those movies?
Yeah, but
Are
they're
they
both on
streaming
my
movies?
list.
Like, what are they?
They are both
What are
streaming,
they?
right? Or no?
Well, they came out in theater.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're streaming anywhere right now. You might be able to catch them on demand. Presence came out in February,
what I was
so that
thinking.
should be coming to streaming pretty soon. That's basically like a ghost story where the camera angle is from the view of the ghost that like haunts this house. It's really fun. It's very like experimental. I love it. I think I'm higher on Presence than most everybody on the internet, but I just liked Soderbergh doing Soderbergh
Sometimes
things.
that's how it is.
That's
Well,
how
sometimes
it
it's
is.
just nice to have a change of pace like that, even if it's not
Yes.
like the masterpiece that you might be expecting it to be. It's still fresh.
Black Bag though, whew, that's the cake. Like that's a really good movie. Highly, highly recommend. My favorite movie though this year came out in 2023 or maybe even 2024. It's called Perfect Days. It is my favorite film so far that I've watched all year. So basically, right before the pandemic, Japan was about to host the Olympics. And so the Japanese government
Yes.
actually paid for new toilets, like new facilities. They had like 10 to 12 new facilities in different parks throughout Tokyo that they were kind of like highlight for people to come in and, have a nice place and like see, Japan, and like they're really, really proud of it. Well, the pandemic happened. The Olympics shut down, right? Nobody came. And so actually the Japanese government asked for someone to come in and make a documentary about these toilets in Tokyo.
Wow.
Which is
These are
hilarious.
special
And so
toilets.
one of like the best living directors, Wim Wenders, he's a German director. He directed Paris, Texas. Very well known, very famous director said, "I'll do it, but I'm not doing like a documentary about toilets. I will write a film for it." And it is the most heartfelt film It is about a man who is a toilet cleaner in Tokyo, and you follow his life. And I promise you, I see the look on your face, Tiffany. This movie is so good. Like,
Is the guy Japanese?
yeah, he's Japanese. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's all in Japanese. There's not even that
it's
many
German.
lyrics.
It's
Or
German
sorry,
man.
there's
What,
not a lot
Alex?
of,
I don't know. There's a lot of there's appropriation nowadays. I just want to make sure.
yeah, there's not a lot of dialogue. But it is a movie that just like paints yourself in this man's shoes and just like makes you think a lot more about your life and like where you're at in it and if you're okay with that and everything around you. And I could not recommend it enough. I don't want anyone to spoil anymore, but it is called Perfect Days. Everything else that I've said up to this point, great. Perfect Days is one of those movies that I will probably rewatch it again this year. Like, it is that good of a movie.
I mean,
Honestly,
I always appreciate a good toilet, you know.
Yeah.
These last
Honestly,
like
those
10
toilets
minutes.
look amazing too. Side note.
Yeah, like could never have predicted these movies that you just discussed, Matt. You're like, have you heard of these? I'm like, no, of course I haven't. I have not heard of these movies. And you're like, and I'm like, I don't know. How old is the main character of Perfect Days? And is it Days as in like Daze or Days?
Days. Perfect Days.
Oh, okay.
And he's older, like probably in his older, like upper 50s, like maybe 50s.
I can't do that. Nope, I can't.
Nope. It is so good. You're like,
It's getting like a
No, this old-
Mr. Fredrickson vibe.
No, yeah,
Like, passes away at the end.
older Japanese man who like, no, I can't, absolutely cannot.
That's good.
I will not watch
Too,
this.
Okay.
too many feels there.
Yeah,
it is a lot of
it just-
feels, but honestly, if you're not watching movies that make you feel, why watch movies at all? You know what I mean?
No,
Gotta feel
no,
something.
that's you know what? How dare you? Because guess what? I'm gonna talk about it, you guys. I read my freaking Hunger Games books, Sunrise on the Reaping, and do you know how many feels I freaking had?
A lot.
I cried at 3 points throughout the book. At one point, literally, I'm like reading it. I'm lying on the couch and I'm crying, actively crying, and then I see a tissue just appear in front of my book, in between me and my book, and Alex has handed me a tissue. Because he's like probably like, shut up. Like, what is happening? But he handed me a tissue and I'm like just dabbing at I'm like putting my book down and I'm just like dabbing my eyes. Honestly, like it was just so good. And a lot of the internet was kind of, there's a little bit of divisiveness to it in the sense of some people quote unquote felt like it was like fan fiction, like fan servicey, like people, there were some like connections that were made that like, oh, that's super convenient. Like, oh, spoiler, not spoiler, but like Haymitch knew Katniss's dad. Like, you know, there were things that were very like, you know,
Well, they came from the same district, right?
well, yes, they did come
Like, they're
from
all
the
working
same
in the
district.
same mines. Like,
I'm-
get
I-
a life, people.
I guess that's true. That's true. They, well, they're kids at this point, right? Because
Oh, okay.
they're like being selected for the games. But I do think that
Spoilers.
one of the main concepts is the idea of propaganda and like how it is used and like kind of like to suppress a society or to push an agenda. And so that was sort of one of the main themes of the book. And I thought that was super interesting because of, you know, the political climate right now. But ultimately, though, I thought it was a great read. And I'm very much looking forward to the movie that will come out in like, what is it, like 2027 or something crazy? Like literally like the week that the book had been released, the Lionsgate production company came out with a teaser that was like, you know,
CG. That's it. Just a CG
yeah,
like
a
logo
CG
teaser.
trailer that's like coming summer
Soon.
2027
Ish.
or something. Yeah, I don't know. But I very much I loved it. 5 stars, 5 out of 5. And Matt, I will say I felt too much.
You felt too much.
It was too
Oh,
much.
okay.
I felt too much. Yep.
If we don't have to keep talking about Perfect Days, but I swear, if you don't watch it, like take a week. Let me know if you're not going to watch it, because if you're not going to watch it, I'm going to send you one scene, and it is basically just, I'm not even going to say, but it is just a close-up shot of this man who acts. And honestly, this is someone who loves movies. I have never seen a more well-acted shot in my entire life of any film that I've ever seen. I've seen like a lot of classics and I'm working through them. It is just something that like it just captivates me. So a lot of feels in one little moment. I can't recommend it enough.
I'm gonna have to look at who's the actor.
I can figure it out.
You probably don't know.
It is a Japanese actor. He's in because we were thinking about watching maybe Handmaiden or something, and he's in that too. Like he's kind of in a lot of different films, even though it's a South Korean film. Koji.
So, you mean Japanese?
Koji Yakusho.
Japanese film? Okay, I don't know that one. Because I mean, like, I was like, was he in Shogun? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, who? Like, would I recognize him from somewhere?
He's in 106 films. So, like, I'm assuming he's just, like, very, very well known. He was born in 1956, so I definitely underestimated his age. He's a lot older than what I expected.
19... Oh,
so,
I absolutely cannot watch this movie then. This person
he's
is essentially my father's age.
70-some-year-old.
He's
Let me tell you.
essentially my father's age, and he's Asian. I can't be dealing with that right now. It's
For what it's worth, it's the only movie that Matt mentioned that's actually on streaming. It's on Hulu. So, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Do you feel like with the book, the Hunger Games, that having it hit so close to home made you enjoy it more or slightly less? Because like I can get turned off by that. If I'm like trying to disengage from the real world and I get more real world, then I'm like, ugh, dang it.
You know, honestly, that's a great question.
Like my escapism is ruined.
No.
Yeah. I think that the epilogue just like really tied it together with the hunger. Okay, so it obviously ends bleak, right? Because it takes another like 25 years for the capital to come down, like to spoilers, like to be
movie starts
dismantled.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, or it takes 25 years to the end of the Hunger Games, like Mockingjay or whatever, the 3 books with Katniss, like more than 25 years at that point for them to dismantle the government. And so it does end very bleak. And obviously in the Hunger Games, Haymitch is a angry, drunk man. Like, or maybe not that angry. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And so it's just like, it was just soul crushing. It was just so depressing. So it did hurt a lot. And I think it was like, it managed to happen at an okay time where I was stable. I was mentally stable. So it didn't like bring me crushing depression as I was reading it and seeing the parallels and thinking, oh my God, is it going to take 25 years from now to dismantle everything that's been done? Like, I didn't think that way.
Oh.
Yeah. Like,
you're like adding 25 years from your age right now. You're like, oh God.
Yeah. Like, am I going to turn into Haymitch and become an angry drunk? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I think I was honestly just in an okay headspace to have read that book because I had also disengaged a little bit from real life, and really just like sunk my teeth into it, and it was just like chef's kiss, like great time.
Fair enough.
Yeah, has anyone been gaming? Any games?
I like how you're before this. You're like, hey, yeah, you know, if we're not really like at the 45-minute mark, we can maybe talk about some other topics. And I'm like, 48 minutes, and we haven't even talked about video games.
Yeah.
I mean,
Killed
it
it.
seems like your intro was perfect, where you only mentioned games at the end, because now we're only mentioning games at the end here.
Yeah, let's
Perfect.
get in.
Oh, that's
Let's get
true.
into the thick of it.
Who wants
What
to
you
start?
been playing?
Matt, you should go first, I feel.
All right, I'll go first. So this year has been all about catching up. You know, part of my goals is like preparing for some of the sequels that are happening this year. That's not new. You know, played Ghost of Tsushima, played Death Stranding. Those are great. Not even going to talk about them because hopefully a better version of them is coming later this year. So I'm very excited for those. Had great times playing them. half of my time though gaming has really just been playing games that I've played before. Played Sly Cooper 2. I played Kingdom Hearts 2, platinum both of them. Now, as of yesterday, my dreams have become true. Oblivion Remastered, which is
Another game
honestly another game I love.
Okay.
Like opened up Western RPGs for me. I am like 3 hours in and I'm loving it. Like it is just so
You're
much
thriving.
fun. Thriving. Like absolutely thriving. And honestly, like playing it, it's great. It's really fun.
Bringing you
It's
back
called
all the feels.
Remastered. Bring all of them back. When I first, like, I did not even have an Xbox 360 at the point when it came out in 2006. And so I had a laptop. My laptop was not like for specs. It was like for assignments,
Right.
in high school.
Yeah.
Like it was not a gaming laptop. A buddy of mine in high school lent me Oblivion after the fact. It was like, hey, if you want to play it on PC, I was like, perfect. Didn't really think anything about specs. Well, my computer could not run it. The only thing it could run was the initial dungeon, like the first 15, 20 minutes where you're in a dungeon. Once you get to open world, it would like stutter and crash. And I could never get it open. So I replayed that initial dungeon 100 times. 150
What?
times.
That's very
200
cute.
times. And
That's a little
that was
kid-
my
That's crazy
introduction.
town.
That was my introduction to Oblivion. So when I ended up getting an Xbox, it was the first game that I got because it had always been that white whale for me. And so this is a very nostalgic pick. Loving it. It is definitely, even though it's called remastered, it's basically a remake. They redid it from ground up. Like I was a little bit worried because I drafted this in Fantasy Critic. I know we're not talking about Fantasy Critic. We have excluded remasters.
Yeah, I saw that.
And so it should have gotten 0 points. But if you look back, they actually put a flag next to it. And they said, even though it's being called a remaster, they have looked into it and they believe that it's more a remake. So it has a remake tag. So I'll
I
get
think I
points
agree
for
with
it.
that, to be honest. Even though it's not one of my games, it's one of your games. I think you're good.
As much as I've played it, it is incredible what they've done for this game that's 20 years old at this point. It's really, really fun. But that's not really what I wanted to talk about, because you guys should know what I want to talk about, because I've talked about it to all 4 of you. And I'm definitely the hottest on this, so get ready, everybody. Here's the positivity before people bring me down, probably.
Wait, bring you down? Oh, I didn't know there was negativity.
Yeah, hopefully not. Because this is an uplifting podcast. We got to talk about the positive.
That's true.
My current game of the year, by a landslide, is Blueprints. Spelled like a prince, like a crown, not like a prince, like a blueprint that an architect would do.
Like a little king.
It is a puzzle game. It's
like
a walking sim. It is a roguelite. It is all those things. And it does all those things very well, in my opinion. This came out a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and it has absolutely taken over my life. Since it came out, which is like 13 days ago, I have not watched a movie. I have like the last movie I watched was on the 10th. That was 13 days ago. Because I'm waking up early before work, playing some Blueprints, getting home from work, playing some Blueprints. Like any waking moment, I'm playing it, uncovering the mysteries of what's happening in this estate, and I am loving it. It is not for those requiring dopamine, because you're not going to be unlocking a lot of trophies, because there's only 16 and they're really, really tough to get. But it is a ton of fun. I am currently at 51 hours and loving it. Just absolutely loving it. I think it's going to require a lot of RNG to plat. So who knows if I'll ever be able to, but it is something that I will be attempting to platinum this year, I think. As long as, games stop releasing, that would be great.
I mean, that's the life of roguelikes in
just like
general and
Balatro.
trophies.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. So have you guys played this, Alex, Tiffany?
I was just checking my own. So I started Blueprints on Sunday, and I've put in 7 hours.
Oh, That's a lot too.
Nice.
so far. And I'm an escape room gal.
Yeah,
love
I've heard if you love escape
escape
rooms, like this is a
rooms.
great game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I am still figuring out how I feel
Okay.
about the game. I'm in day 23 and I have not reached room 46 yet. I actually like zoomed. I think I only like beelined it up there once and I realized I couldn't get in without doing something else.
Each
you know?
run is a day. So you can only, so basically the premise of this is you're trying to get to room 46. There's 45 rooms in this house. You're basically, every time you walk into a room, you're kind of drafting what that room is from like cards. They're always the same ones, but it's always randomized. But you're trying to get to room 46 and you have to go through a bunch of hoops to get open to 46 that Tiffany will figure out eventually. But every run is a day. And so I think Alex was the fastest of the three of us because I did not get to room 46 until like close to day 50. Like I was like 47, 48.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yeah. You're right
be
on page.
discouraged.
Like don't worry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing is that right now, I mean, listen, I'm playing it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm playing the game. I stayed up late playing the game on Monday night and Tuesday night. So, and on it, I really like playing on the Portal. It is such a
good.
great.
It's a good Portal game.
Yeah, it's a great Portal game. And so, Alex had some, he had his own opinions and he told me about them. And then literally Matt went to me and was like, I need to have this conversation with you right now because I don't need negative Nancy Alex to shade your view of this glorious video game. And then he's like, I swear to you, you will like it. It is amazing. And so I was like, you know what? If Matt is going to look me dead in the eye in person and tell me that this game is the intersection of Tiffany game and Matt game, I have to give it a shot.
And I stick by that. If given enough time, I do think, I cannot think of another game that has the complete intersection between your interest and my interest, between your love for escape rooms, your love for like this type of game.
Board games. I mean, it almost feels like a board game.
This is like the board game that you introduced to me. Like the
Betrayal of a House on the Hill.
It is exactly like that, where like you are walking into a room and you're drafting that room, and that's the room it's going to be forever until your next run. And that type of RNG, I'm like, when I'm playing this, I'm like, oh, Tiffany is going to go for this. Like, there are certain aspects of this, like, I don't know how much you vibe with taking notes. I have 15 pages of notes right now about lore, about like trying to figure out codes for different saves. I don't know if that's into you, but the part that we do intersect on that I know that you like is all in this game. So
question though, are you like Mad Menning it? Like, do you have loose scraps of paper? Did you buy a notebook for this? Did you like rip out like pages from an old like chemistry binder and you're using the rest of the page? Like, what's the vibe here on your note taking?
I had like a free notepad. I don't even know what's written on this.
Is it like a Post-it pad?
So
or are you like, what?
I got it.
How much surface area
I got it
here?
at mid-year. And
okay,
it's like a
Pfizer notepad.
Notepad that I got. Free swag.
Yeah.
But it's just like a flip
Not
pad.
sponsored.
And so
Yes.
I have like 15 of those that it's like there's a huge map puzzle that you'll potentially find at some point. That's when I started my notes because I was like, you can't do this in your head. Then I have like loose ends. Then I have safes. Then I have like potential codes. Then I have 15 different categories where things are in. I've stayed actually pretty organized. I do kind of look like the Unabomber though, taking notes in my notepad. Like Maddie will be laughing at me. I'll be like in the corner of the couch, just like scribing something with my Portal on my lap, and it's just like, are you figuring it out, son? Like it's like that meme.
Yeah.
So I actually rummaged through a like some of my boxes, and I found I have a handful of notebooks, and I found one Harry Potter Ravenclaw journal that is just like,
let's go.
It's blue.
Yeah.
First of all, so, and it's the pages it's just like there's no grid lines or anything or rule. It's not ruled, which is nice. So it's just blank pages with the like crest of the Ravenclaw shield in the pages. So Alex is probably going to show my notebook right now because I have it. Yeah, like I'm assuming that's what he's doing, or he just got up for no reason. Alex, are you getting my notebook?
Why are you guys ruin the flow? I'm trying to do this incognito. And
No.
I didn't ruin anything.
No, I said I assume he's going to get my
sweet.
Ravenclaw notebook.
Yeah,
So that's my Ravenclaw notebook, and then
Let
the
me see
first
your
couple,
notes.
like
Oh,
I
love
drew
it.
out the constellations for no
What
reason.
in the world?
Like I didn't know I needed to draw it,
You
and
know,
then
there's
like
a book right in front of the telescope that has all the constellations.
no, the
in it.
telescope, which I looked at and I transcribed because I didn't know, is that book going to be there the next run?
That's true.
I have no idea.
I love that.
Don't look at my periodic table of bullshit. That was all messed up. I didn't.
Did you
I didn't
figure that
know
one
what
out?
was going on. I think I did. I just went with the vibes of
Yeah.
that one. But anyway, yeah. So that's my audience members. Maybe one day, you know what? Shoot us an email or reach out to us, and I'll send you a photo. I'll send you a picture of what my notebook looks like. But
She has an OnlyFans.
So right now,
What?
no,
Only
I
notes.
do not.
Only notes.
Yeah, only notes. Honestly, Matt, I'm not that big into the note taking part. It is like, but my memory is such a goldfish that I would not remember like anything unless I wrote it down. The game, even like Yasser, the game tells you it might be beneficial to take notes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I guess I have to do this.
I was like, watch me.
Alex.
And then 5 hours
Yeah.
later, I was like, all right, okay.
Or like 5
I'll
minutes
do it.
later for
I'll
me.
take
It's like, oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right. So as someone who's
Alex,
like, who I definitely know I'm gonna want to try this game and play this game, and I probably will end up enjoying it. I need to know the other side. So yeah, Alex,
okay.
let's hear your perspective. I want to
Why
know.
is this the other side?
Well, I don't know.
one
It
has
sounds
heard
like
my-
you're the
I've
other
literally
side
not
here. I
talked
don't
at
know.
all. I don't like how there's this inclination that there's another side.
Well, I mean, from what
'cause
Matt
I wanna-
and Tiffany have said, it sounds like the other side.
Right, because that's awful that they're trying to speak for me when I'm just here on the podcast and I can speak my own opinion.
I was letting you go.
And so I want to lead it with this. This might be one of the best puzzle games of all time.
Oh,
Let's
dang.
go.
I want to say that. Like, I think it's easy to see, like, when you play this game, like, from stem to stern. A lot of, for me, what makes a great puzzle game is both intuitive solutions as well as thoughtful solutions, right? Like, I feel like there's a lot of things, like, when you're creating an experience, you should be able to reasonably come across something, right, just by saying, you know, based on what they're showing me, it should work like this, right? And a lot of the times it does. And in other cases, you know, the solution might not be apparent to you as saying, oh, based on what I've been shown, it should work like this. And then you realize, oh, wait, it doesn't. And then that's where the extra layers come in. I think this game has just nailed it on all fronts. Like, it's not something where it's like, it's just one or the other, you know, it's not something you can just look up the answer to, because for me, and I don't know if you guys brought up The Witness at all when I was
No.
gone.
I was going to ask
But
about that,
something
actually.
like- Yeah. Something like The Witness, right, where you could look up all the solutions to that game and get to the end, right? And so in a way, right, obviously you're not really playing the game if you're looking up the solutions, but that's something that's very deterministic. And so yes, it's a puzzle game, but there is degrees of ways of getting around it in terms of, right, you can kind of cheat yourself out. In terms of this, there are ways, right? There's a lot of solutions you could just look up, but in some cases, right, it's still a game to be played because of that roguelike aspect. So there's a lot of things you have to earn as like meta upgrades, as permanent upgrades. There's a lot of things that are specific to the spawn itself. And so you're not just solving these rote puzzles, you're actively still like having to adapt. And I think that's where the genius behind it comes in, because right, like you can understand all the base rules to all the puzzles, but they still continue to change it up. There's two puzzles in particular that you'll encounter within your first run probably, and you might think, oh, these are really simple, right? Like these are the two standard puzzles I'm always going to come across. And
Yep.
you know, whether you're on your first run or your 50th run or 100th run, they've figured out ways to amplify even those basic puzzles. And so there's a degree of depth there of saying, man, you think it's just going to be another kind of standard, oh, this is just busy work, right? Like, I really shouldn't have to do this. But they do make it more interesting where you're not just doing the same thing. And to each their own, right? Maybe some people are like, oh, the puzzle shouldn't get harder. It should stay relatively as simple as it is. And maybe other people are like, oh, no, this is great, right? Because even the basic stuff can get really involved. For me, like, right, that's my baseline. Like, this is, I would say, one of the best puzzle games ever created. The only reason I don't put it high, like, I don't think this is going to be in my top 3, top 4, top 6, whatever we decide to do this year, is that I think there's a lot of quality of life the game needs, in that I think playing the game itself gets in the way of my enjoyment, right? With certain things like the deterministic stuff. You know, if there's a lot of things in the game that have a specific solution, and some of the things have ways of shortcutting it, right? It's like, oh, if you know the solution, let's say it's a password to something, oh, there is an option to just re-enter the last thing you entered, and boom, you can get going, so it's not really a roadblock. But there are other things that ask you to enter that solution every single time. And the solution doesn't change. It's the same exact solution. So after the first time you figure it out, there's no option to shortcut it. It's just right, the tad little bit of annoyance where I'm like, man, this is extra like 10-15 seconds. I shouldn't have to do this. And when it's a roguelike, right, like, it's one of those things where they want you to keep doing runs. You know, you want to, you know, let's say you figured out something this run and it's leading to something that you don't necessarily encounter, but you know, maybe the next run you encounter it, so you want to, you know, start up a new run to get that chance again. And so I think that's my biggest hang up on this, is that there's not enough quality of life there. And that's not something to say like, right, it could be fixed in a patch. You know, maybe they see, oh, people don't necessarily like this, or this could be streamlined, right? Like, these are things that I don't think are locked in stone from a design perspective. So it could be something that really cleans up and makes the act of doing multiple runs like a lot more enjoyable. I just think for my sake, when I think of roguelikes, it does get in its own way to a detriment enough that where I'm like, especially, and my biggest thing, no mid-run saves. You can't pause a run in the middle. So if you want to take a break, it's not possible, right? I mean, I guess you could put your system in a rest mode or something, but there's no like official way of stopping mid-run. So you're kind of forced to do the whole thing each time. So that's just one of the kind of like minor things of like, it's not the biggest downside, but it is annoying enough where I'm like, man, I don't really want to have to do a whole run, because some of these runs can take hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on how deep you get into it. And so I'm like, oh, maybe I don't have time for the whole thing. But
that definitely seems like a pain point.
Hopefully they find a way
for a roguelike. I know that happened early on in Returnal, and they like patched that in later on, that you can kind of save a run halfway through. So hopefully they do something like that, because that does seem a little odd. Yeah. Just to clarify, so I understand as someone who hasn't played it yet, do you mean answers from like previous runs are the same on the next time around when you see it, and that's why it would be nice to just like breeze through it the second time around instead of going through your notes? Or is it that you go to the same puzzle within the same run?
So it's the same puzzle spawning in another run. So some of the puzzles are always the same type of puzzle, and that solution has one solution. So that particular puzzle doesn't change in its variation. So I'm like, could you give me like an auto succeed or something? Because if you know I've done it once, right, why do I have to keep doing it again and again, right? In case it doesn't change. And those are just the minor things where I'm like, come on, like, it's quality of life for the most part.
Sure. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah.
As people who have played it, because I obviously don't have an opinion.
I think that's really a good point. It's something I haven't noticed as much. I think a lot of it is because I've not, some of the things that you could open with a specific passcode, I'm drawing blanks on a lot of these. Like, for someone who's been in this game for over 50 hours, I've not solved a lot of those things. Those are big, like, loose ends of mine. So it's like, maybe I'm not running into too many of them. But there is one particular passcode that is on some of the terminals. This is not spoiling anything. There's terminals in different places that have a passcode. I never go into a terminal. I'm like, nope, unless I have to, because the passcode takes a while to put in and it doesn't save that.
Oh.
No, that passcode does save.
Oh, I've not noticed that.
On the bottom, look for the prompt. That's one of the few things
Oh.
that has an auto autocomplete form.
Yeah.
It's technically not an autocomplete, but it's just, would you like to input the last thing you input into this?
Oh.
And so if
Okay.
you input the correct solution once, that just becomes the last thing you inputted. So that's one of the few things that does save. And so it's
Oh.
like already there, right? Like I see little bits and pieces of like what I want the whole game to have. And it's just not everywhere. And so that's where
So
I'm
are
like,
you talking
if they're
particularly on like the safes? Because there are like
Yes.
safes that
Yeah.
you have to do.
I would like the safes to have like an autocomplete.
What I
'cause
think
those
would
are
be
the same.
actually be nice with the safes is that if we've figured it out once, I wish the safe would just be open the next time you
That's a solution.
summon the safe, that room.
So, quick question. To clarify one more time, as someone who hasn't played this, is this truly
Yeah.
like a rogue game, like where there's really no progression between saves, or is there some progression that you keep from run to run?
There is some progression, and especially deeper in the game that I'm not sure how.
But it sounds
There
like
are
it's
some
less
secrets.
progression in comparison to like Returnal or like Dead
Yes,
Cells,
yes.
stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Especially early on. You are not, like, by the time you finish the game, you might not have all of the, like, full progressions. Now where I'm at right now, I could easily get to room 46 with, like, even just, like, haphazardly picking things because I've gotten so many
Oh.
things that make it so much easier to just roam around. I'm roaming around with, like,
Okay.
150 coins, 50 gems, 20
Oh
keys.
my
Like, you can
Matt,
turn
I
into a god
found
in this game eventually.
because like I decided to get the luxury room or whatever because I'd never seen it before, and I picked it, and I was like 150 coins. Who has the money for this? I'm literally the max I've
Matt
ever
does.
had in a run is 9 coins.
Yeah,
so far.
because
and
there's
day
also
23.
a trophy to buy everything in that like
run
that
in the
luxury
run
store.
by everything.
Yeah,
Oh,
and so everything in that luxury store could be up to like 280 coins.
yes.
And this is like part of the stuff that kills me and kills my momentum for the platinum is I finally got enough coins to pay for everything. I paid $280.
And then you never
And then
drew the
guess what?
luxury store.
No. I did draw the luxury store, bought everything for like 300 coins. And then what happens is they put in the trophy, the physical trophy to collect.
in the front.
But you have to pay 100 more coins.
What?
And I had no more money. And so
That is insane.
I like, there's so many things like that where it's like the RNG will kill you. Like, technically, I beat the game before day 47, but my game crashed during the cinematic. And I texted them and I was like, I'm done.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember you saying
And,
that.
It took me like another week in game, like another 7 days to do it again. And I was like,
wow.
if it crashes again, like I had so much anxiety watching this cinematic.
Yeah.
But there's so many other things that's built in. It is a hard game. Like this is not an easy game. And so I totally get people falling off because the RNG is really heavy in areas. And I do think there should be some tweaking that maybe they can do on the back end. But yeah, overall, like I'm pretty happy with this. Like it's a sole developer. They've contracted out to like
Yeah.
other things for their assets, which is great. But for one person for their first real game out of it, I'm like, man, this is insane. Like this is what indie games can do, and I'm really happy for it. I hope it's very successful.
Yeah, it's kind of wild too. Like here, this is like the third game in the last I guess Stardew Valley isn't old or new anymore, but like hearing about these games that are just made by one person, like Balatro,
yeah.
Blueprints.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm just like, man, you just need some good old fashioned elbow grease and an idea, and you could just create the next like whirlwind.
The tools make
adventure.
it easier and easier for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I am very engaged in the Blueprints. I think that the thing is, it's not right now, early in the game, it's not easy to have progression through the run. So that's a little bit frustrating because it's like I feel like by now, like in Hades, I like already had like I already had the ability to, you know, do something or another by like my 20th run. You know what I mean? Like, and then some of the rooms are not as intuitive in the sense of like an escape room. When you walk in, you can tell when something's like meant to be analyzed. And right now, a lot of the intro rooms in the first few runs of Blueprints are very blasé, and like nothing gives me the impression like something's important. Now, there was one time I was in a room and Alex like, do you notice anything in this room? And I'm like, well, I noticed this thing. And he's like, oh. And I was like, what? Like, I don't, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, in escape rooms.
So curious what room this is. I'm like, what?
Yeah, there's like, you know, might be maybe the color. Maybe I should be noticing some of the color swatch differences in this, you know, in this game, because a lot of things are very much monochromatic. Maybe that's the hint, but I'm like, why do I need to care about this random thing right now? Obviously, you don't have that many of the puzzle pieces when you get certain rooms, Yasser. Like in an escape room, usually like 50% of the puzzles are in the one room that you're in and you can see. So this is just a thing that I need to shift, because nowadays there are escape rooms that are multi-level rooms, but you know, they do segment the puzzles like, oh, there are like, you need to do a bunch of activities in this one room before you can get to the next room, do a bunch of activities in that room, and then do the last room where you do the final activity. And so right now I'm literally like, okay, this is a closet. I walk into the closet and I pick up some stuff and I'm like, am I supposed to pay attention to like, there's an umbrella in here? Like sometimes there's not an umbrella. Is that important? Like, and that's what's sort of like frustrating in that aspect.
Just not intuitive enough sometimes.
Yes. However, literally that umbrella could literally be nothing. I still don't know right now. Like, I don't know if that umbrella is important. Maybe it's not.
It's never raining.
Maybe it's not.
It's never raining in Blueprints, so
that's true. Suspicious. I mean, Alex, you finished a run and then you told me like I'm outie, Scouty.
Yeah, like my biggest takeaway is that as you play the game, right, and technically you roll credits, you get the credit, you get the cinematic and get credits after reaching room 46 the first time. And to me, right, I always feel like, you know, everyone has like, oh, how do you know when you've kind of like cleared a game or beaten a game? For me, it's generally like, if I did the thing that triggered rolling the credits scene, right, I feel like that's kind of the intention, right? That's what the developer wanted you to see, right? You did the thing that ends up, you know, you see, like, you pay homage to the people that worked on the game. And so I'm like, okay, I did that. But while you're doing that, you see a lot of things that you're like, oh, you know, there's more to this game than reaching room 46. And I think it's the degree of seeing all those other things and knowing that there's a lot of things I never saw, because there's right, as a roguelike, right, these are randomized runs. Your chances of seeing certain things change every single time, especially based on how you play the game, right? You know, there's certain things where it's like, oh, if you do this run, you now have a increased chance of finding these things more often, you know, that type of stuff. And so that's very run specific. And so when I saw all of the extra items, that I'm like, oh, this is probably the post game, right? Or this is like the true ending or something. I realized how deep of a game it was. And that, you know, there's a lot of respect there to say it obviously presents itself as saying, just get to room 46, right? All the intro cinematics, he's like, okay, you're trying to inherit my estate. I'm trying to, right, pass this down upon to my offspring, my blood relative, but on the condition of reaching room 46. And so you think that's the game, and then as you play, you realize that's not the game. That's only like 1/10 of the game.
Yeah.
And so, and that's part of my praise of it, of saying there's so much more to do, right? Like it's always, to me, when you look at these roguelites, obviously there's always kind of a final state that you reach, right? I'd probably say the most recent roguelike I played before this was Darkest Dungeon 2 last year. And that was also a game where I'm like, yeah, basically once you've gotten all the candle upgrades and like used all that perma progression on all of your characters, you kind of reach the end game, right? There's not a lot of variants anymore, and you can basically be in the game, right? Like once you've gotten all the upgrades, it's like the most powerful you can get. And looking at this game and only recently learning, I think it took on PlayStation, it took a week for anyone to ever get the platinum.
Oh wow.
For this game.
Oh, the
platinum. And that was like the longest
That's really fast.
ever seen. No, that's like the longest I've ever seen anyone take for this, like to get a platinum on a game, because normally, especially
like
since
Balatro is
faster.
faster. Is that what you're telling me?
Stuff. Yeah, like people are getting these plats like before the game officially launches, and so the fact that this was even a week past official launch, it goes to show like how deep this game is, especially right because there are people out there that become like savants at these things, and they're like crushing all the puzzles. They like see it, they immediately know the answer. It's not a challenge at all, and so I'm like, I respect it. It's just not this is a game I feel like Balatro, like something of these other roguelikes. You're doing runs every so often. It's a long burn. Like you're not Matt's like logging a game every morning, a game every night. Like that's how they want you to play this. Like this isn't something you're playing for 150 hours in a week or so doing. It's like this is like a lifestyle game, and so that's where I kind of come at it, where I'm like, I reached the end, I loved it, like I love that journey, I just don't love it enough to like do everything else, because also I realize my own limitations in terms of how stupid I am in trying to solve these puzzles. Because let me tell you, there's some things where I'm just looking at it and I'm like, that's just a wall, you're not telling me there's anything special about that wall. And then later it's like, oh no, there was something special about that wall. I'm like, well, I never would have actually understood that, so that's like, this ain't for me. Like this is beyond my mental capacity.
That seems fair. Seems
I
very
mean,
fair.
I'm gonna play some after this.
Nice.
Got to do something, and while we're waiting for midnight to strike.
This has become
You know what I'm
a
saying?
many blueprints review / preview. But
Yeah.
for all the listeners out there, hey, it's on PS Plus catalog. It's
Everything.
on Game Pass. Like this is super
Yeah.
accessible. Get out there and try it when you can.
Oh yeah, Game Pass.
It's on pretty much all the gaming subscriptions. So yeah, it's as accessible as
Wow, I
possible on
hope-
every platform other than Switch, sadly.
Right. Okay, cool. Yeah. Oh, so any game highlights before we kind of sound off? I feel like this is a good place to stop.
No,
Unless Alex.
I want to highlight.
Yeah, highlight. Go ahead.
I've been playing
Pop
this on
off.
Steam. This is a old school JRPG series called Trails in the Sky, and this game came out originally, I think it was like 2002 or so, and it was from the era where voice acting in games wasn't as prevalent, and so there's no voice acting in this, like everything's through text. But playing this old school JRPG made me realize, I'm like, man, it is a layer of nicety that the games we play these days, especially role-playing games, have all this voice acting, right? Stuff like Baldur's Gate, stuff like Final Fantasy, it really brings you more into the experience and the story when you get to hear like these characters be acted out, right, effectively. And so for me, playing this old JRPG with zero voice acting, it's kind of like me supplanting my own expectations of like, oh, this is the kid character, they're gonna sound like the 10-year-old
Now it's just in your head.
It's like just yapping. Yeah, it's just in my head. But like having to like create all those voices on my own adds that extra layer of amusement of like, oh yeah, that's the suave guy who's just the charmer.
That's how I play
he's just
Pokemon,
trying
so
to-
I can relate to that.
yeah, get with the ladies, right? Like he's always trying to bewitch them with his good looks and aristocratic background type of thing. And so it's helped remind me of those games, right? And not necessarily just kind of like under budget stuff or like indie budget games that can't afford voice acting in them, but just older stuff of like, man, there was a specific attraction to play this like 30-40 hour RPG with zero voice acting whatsoever, except during the battles. So like there are like voiced out like combat lines. So it's very interesting to me. It's like, oh yeah, we can
Oh,
afford
yeah.
just enough budget for them to like say their attack move, but we can't voice any of the dialogue. I mean, there is a lot of dialogue in game, right? It's RPG, so you're talking to a lot of people. But it is very strange to get those like efforts and attacks in combat, but nowhere else. So I just thought it was a fun experience. But yeah, I'm liking it. it's been a series kind of like on my radar of saying, right, like I enjoy Japanese RPGs. What are some that I've missed in the past that I know are popular? And the Trail series is very long. I think there's like 12 to like 14 games in it, like across everything.
Whoa.
Like it's up there with Final Fantasy. And this is a continual storyline. Like all of the stories cross over on the same timeline. So this is one of those things where I'm like, if I'm gonna get into it, I gotta start from the beginning. And so far, the beginning's been pretty well. So I'm going to continue with this. This is kind of my like slow burn RPG series. So I'm hopeful to keep up with it, but I'm really liking it. And it runs great on PC. The fun fact, it kind of has its own rest mode because when you click out of the application window, it just pauses the game completely. And it like doesn't track time.
It
or
just
anything.
freezes.
So I'm kind of like, wow, even by happenstance on PC, I can like have a break on this game by just like clicking out of the window. So maybe Blueprints could use a mid-run save or something, right? That'd be great.
Nice. I'll call out 2 games too, real quick. It won't be as
Okay.
long as that, or even obviously Blueprints. But one is a game where I thought the art design was really cool, and it's South of Midnight. It's a smaller game
nice.
that I think is only on Xbox and PC, but it's one of those games where like even though some of the animations are in like 20 FPS or something or 30 FPS, it never feels like a slow experience. It just adds to the art style, and it's actually a lot of fun. I don't think I take it too seriously as far as like its gameplay. It doesn't do anything that's unique there, but it has a lot of you can tell like they had passion for this project, and they did a really good job with like creating the setting and what the back setting is on the like southern the history of the Southern American Southwest, or sorry, you know what I'm trying to say, right? It's in Louisiana,
Southeast.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
it
like the
really
15
sets the setting really well. Go
like
ahead.
the 15 to 20 FPS, like as they're animating. Is it similar to like how the Spider-Man movies were like
Yes,
the
that's
FPS
exactly what
was
it's
down
like.
to
That's
kind of like look
exactly
almost
what it's
hand
like.
drawn?
Yes,
Yeah, that's cool.
exactly,
I like that.
exactly. And that's something that I really liked about the Miles Morales movies, and it's exactly like that, where you really appreciate the art itself, and it adds to the flavor of the game overall. The second game that I want to call out that is much older, but gives me a great appreciation for an older device that I haven't played very much of, and that's my 3DS. I'm playing through more and more of Omega Ruby, Pokemon Omega
Oh.
Ruby.
Nice.
And like every time I play it, I'm like, dang, the 3D on the 3DS is really freaking good.
It's so good.
It's like I'm not wearing anything, and it's actually this good. And it just like blows my mind sometimes because I don't feel like I appreciated that enough when it was out. And even coming back to it now, like I feel like I enjoy those games sometimes, or at least this game that I'm playing right now, sometimes more than I enjoyed the experience of like Pokemon Scarlet in comparison, because it's fresh in a different way where no other game feels this way in terms of I throw a Pokeball out and I can see it like going away. Like obviously it's hard to explain without actually seeing it, but it's just cool to see that in live action in 3DS, and it makes me want to play more of my 3DS, even though the thing dies within like 24 hours. So the battery life sucks, but it's because I'm using the 3DS and or the 3D in like full max because I want to see all those cool effects. But those are the 2 I'd call out.
Listen, wait until you see Majora's Mask on 3DS.
Yeah, I
It'll
have that too.
change your life.
That's coming up after.
Wow. I honestly can count on one hand when I had that 3D on. I feel like I used my 3DS as like a 2DS. Like, honestly.
Honestly, like before, I did a lot of that too, because one of the games I played the most on my 3DS was literally just Soul Silver, which is a DS game. But now that I'm like playing more of the 3DS catalog, I'm starting to appreciate it more and more. But I can see how if you get like motion sickness, maybe it's not the best experience.
Maybe it's not the, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this ties up episode 113. I hope everyone has a great day. Keep on playing games. Let us know. Thanks to Grandmaster Doug for the tunes, and we'll see you next time. And hopefully we'll have great news when all 3 out of 4 of us will have the Nintendo Switch 2 pre-ordered. Bye!
Honestly, those toilets look amazing.